Financial advisors have a script they read from, every single time, without fail. They sit across the desk from jackpot winners holding a check that could change everything, and they deliver the same sermon. Take the annuity. Be responsible. Slow money is safe money. That is what they say. And for millions of dollars in lottery prizes every single year, that advice sounds perfectly reasonable. Until the insurance company behind your payments files for bankruptcy. Until the state freezes your checks in a political standoff. Or the IRS sends your children a catastrophic tax bill while your money sits locked inside a payment schedule nobody can touch. There are 12 winners in this video. 12 real people who sat in that lottery office, heard the speech, looked at the annuity option, and said no. Some were called reckless. Some had advisors who practically begged them to reconsider. Every single one of them was proven right. Not in hindsight only. Proven right by every collapse, every frozen check, every lawsuit, and every tax trap the annuity crowd swore would never happen. These are their stories. Number 12. The estate trap she refused to walk into. We start with a woman who is 81 years old and smarter than every financial advisor in the building. In February of 2012, Louise White walked into a Rhode Island lottery office and claimed a $336 million Powerball jackpot. She was 81 years old, and the conventional wisdom in that moment was painfully obvious. Take the annuity, Louise. Guaranteed checks every year. Comfort for the rest of your life. You are 81 years old. What do you need a lump sum for? Louise White and the sharp advisors she immediately hired looked at that logic and said, absolutely not. She took the lump sum, $210 million, and she claimed it under a private trust she created on the spot, which she named the Rainbow Sherbet Trust. A 30-year annuity attached to an 81-year-old woman is a financial time bomb for the people she leaves behind. Under federal estate tax law, when an annuity holder dies with payments still outstanding, the IRS calculates estate tax on the present value of every future payment owed, then demands that entire bill in cash within 9 months. The cash is locked inside the annuity, dripping out once a year, while the family faces an enormous bill due immediately with no liquid funds available, forced into an emergency fire sale at a punishing discount rate that vaporizes more than half of everything that remains. Louise White saw that trap from a mile away. She took the lump sum, paid her income taxes on her own terms, and sheltered the net proceeds inside an irrevocable trust her family would inherit as clean, liquid, protected wealth. No frozen annuity, no IRS emergency, no fire sale. At 81 years old, she made one of the most sophisticated estate planning decisions in lottery history, and she was proven right the moment she walked out of that office. Number 11. The 84-year-old who thought 3 moves ahead. In May of 2013, an 84-year-old woman named Gloria McKenzie walked into a Florida lottery office and claimed the largest solo jackpot in United States history at that point, $590 million in Powerball winnings, making her the oldest individual ever to win a prize of that size. She took the lump sum, $370 million before taxes. The financial press found this puzzling. Why would a woman her age refuse guaranteed annual income? Every financial advisor alive says predictable cash flow is exactly what you need at 84. Because Gloria McKenzie was not thinking about herself. She was thinking about the people coming after her. She and her son Scott knew the death and taxes trap that had already destroyed lottery families before them. Locking $590 million inside a 30-year payment schedule was not a gift to her heirs. It was an IRS bill due in cash within 9 months of her death, with zero liquid funds to pay it, and no exit except a forced fire sale liquidation that erases half of what remains. Gloria McKenzie refused to hand her children that disaster. She took the lump sum, structured the estate cleanly from day one, and preserve the maximum possible wealth for the people she was leaving behind. Every penny protected was a penny her estate actually kept. She was proven right completely. Number 10. When the insurance company nobody chose collapsed. Now let's move from estate traps to institutional collapse. Because the next case is not about protecting heirs from the IRS. It is about a private insurance company you never heard of, never chose, and never agreed to trust, quietly holding your lottery money without your knowledge. In the late 1980s, multiple state lotteries took their winners' annuity funds and quietly assigned them to a company called Executive Life, without ever telling the winners this was happening. Winners did not choose the arrangement. They simply won a jackpot and were handed a contract from a company whose books they had never seen, whose risk appetite they had never assessed, and whose name most of them had never heard. Executive Life California collapsed in 1991 under the weight of a junk bond portfolio propping up the entire operation. Its sister company in New York survived longer, until 2012, when it went into full liquidation. Over 1,500 people saw their guaranteed lifetime income permanently cut. Some lost 66% of their payments overnight. Not because they did anything wrong, because an insurance company they never chose gambled on high-risk bonds and lost. And the state guarantee caps were nowhere near large enough to fill the gap. But the winners who had taken the lump sum from those same lotteries were completely untouched. Their money had already left the insurer's hands entirely, deployed into their own accounts, working in whatever form they had chosen to put it. While 1,500 people received letters telling them their income had been permanently slashed, the lump sum winners never felt a single thing. Not lucky. Protected. By a decision made in a lottery office long before Executive Life filed its first page of bankruptcy paperwork. That is what being proven right actually looks like. Number 9. The state that froze its own winners' money. From institutional collapse, we move to government failure, because this next group discovered that even the state itself is not bulletproof. In July of 2015, Illinois ran headfirst into a historic budget crisis. Politicians could not agree on a spending plan, and the state treasury locked up completely. Under Illinois law, without a signed budget, the state comptroller was legally prohibited from issuing any lottery check over $25,000. Not delayed. Prohibited. By law. By statute. Winners who had legally won their money walked into the lottery office and were handed paper IOUs instead of cash. Rhonda Rash won her prize and received a government promise. Daniel Chasteen won $10 million and got the same worthless piece of paper. Both had to file federal lawsuits against the state just to force Illinois to pay money it had already collected. Every winner still on an annuity suddenly understood something terrifying. Their income depended entirely on the state of Illinois being able to write them a check. And for months, it simply was not. Real consequences followed immediately. Car repossessions, foreclosure notices, people who had done nothing wrong, crushed by a political standoff in Springfield that had nothing to do with them. The winners who had taken lump sums never felt any of it. Their money had already left the state's control, completely beyond the reach of any budget war or legislative deadlock. Illinois kept collecting lottery money through the entire crisis, taking it in the front door and refusing to pay it out the back. The lump sum takers were the only ones who never had to live inside that nightmare. Number 8. The 20-year-old who vanished before anyone could find him. Now let's talk about the winners who understood that staying invisible is itself one of the most powerful financial strategies available, and one the annuity makes completely impossible. In October of 2018, a 20-year-old named Shane Missler won a $451 million Mega Millions jackpot in Florida, 20 years old. Precisely the kind of young, inexperienced winner that every predator, every scammer, every con artist, and every estranged relative with a sudden change of heart begins hunting for the moment a public jackpot name hits the news. He took the lump sum. $281.9 million before taxes. And he did not claim it as Shane Missler. He channeled the entire prize through a legal entity he created and named Secret LLC. His name was completely severed from the public record. The jackpot did not belong to Shane Missler. It belonged to an anonymous company with no traceable face. And by the time the media cycle peaked, the young man behind it was already gone. Here is the part that matters most for the annuity debate. A 30-year government annuity requires the state to know exactly who you are. Your name is on a payment schedule for 3 full decades. On record, searchable, public by design. There is no version of that arrangement where the winner disappears. The paper trail is permanent and institutional. Shane Missler understood that at 20 years old. The lump sum did not just protect his money. It protected him as a person. It gave him the power to vanish before a single lawsuit could be filed, before a single scammer could make contact, before a single relative could hire a lawyer and come looking. He took the cash, built the trust, and disappeared. Proven right by every predatory approach that never arrived because there was simply nobody left to find. Number 7, $500 million. 0 names, 0 targets. 3 years after Shane Missler vanished, a group in Maryland proved the same strategy works at almost any scale. In January of 2021, a syndicate calling itself the Power Pack claimed a $731 million Powerball jackpot, the largest in Maryland lottery history. They took the lump sum cash option of $546.8 million and claimed it entirely anonymously, shielding every individual member behind their chosen group nickname rather than any real name. No faces, no identities, no public targets anywhere in the record. Consider what the annuity would have meant for this group. 30 years of publicly traceable payment records with real names attached to every one of them. A payment schedule any attorney could locate, any judge could order garnished, any creditor or ex-spouse could monitor for 30 consecutive years. A group annuity is not just a financial contract. It is a 30-year shared liability document with every winner's identity permanently embedded inside it. The Power Pack refused that exposure entirely. They took the cash, dissolved their shared financial liability on day one, and disappeared behind the legal wall the lump sum made possible. No lawsuit ever tracked them down. No names became public targets. No payment schedule handed anyone a searchable roadmap to their money or their identities. The same wisdom as Shane Missler, executed at 9-figure scale, with exactly the same result. If you have watched these winners vanish while the world tried to find them, and you understand exactly why they made that choice, drop the word cash in the comments right now, because we are not even halfway through. Number 6, the group that cut every rope on day one. Let's talk about what a group syndicate on an annuity actually means across 30 years, because nobody explains this part clearly, and it is exactly where group winners get quietly and completely destroyed. In 2019, 23 Long Island coworkers who had been pooling $1 each per week hit a $437 million Mega Millions jackpot, the largest lottery prize in New York State history at that time. They took the lump sum cash option of $262 million, claimed it through a legal entity they named New Life 2019 LLC, and on day one, every single member received their individual share, paid their own individual taxes, and walked away completely free of each other. Think carefully about what the annuity would have meant instead. A 30-year group payment schedule legally ties your financial fate to every other member of the syndicate for 3 full decades. One member goes through a bitter divorce, and their spouse's attorneys come looking at the shared payment stream. One member files for bankruptcy, and creditors can target the group annuity directly. One member dies, and their heirs become entangled in the payment structure for years nobody planned for. You are bound to the personal catastrophes of 22 other human beings for 30 years, whether you still speak to those people or not. The Long Island 23 saw that trap and walked directly around it. They took the cash, cut every shared financial rope between them, and were fully free on day one. No shared liability, no 30-year entanglement, no vulnerability to the financial disasters of any other member. Every single one of them was proven right the first time any member faced a divorce, a bankruptcy, or a setback that would otherwise have dragged the entire annuity into court. Number 5. From bankruptcy to #1 franchise in the country. If you have ever been told the lump sum is the irresponsible choice, the reckless option, the decision that burns through money and leaves lottery winners broke, I want you to meet Jason Fry. In 2007, Fry was a bartender, not just working behind a bar, but standing on the genuine edge of personal bankruptcy. His finances were in complete ruin. His options were nearly zero. Then he won a share of a Florida jackpot and took a net lump sum of $13.6 million after taxes. He could have taken the annuity, slow, steady, cautious. Exactly what every financial advisor in the room would have recommended to a man in his position. But cautious annual payments cannot fund a business acquisition. They cannot cover the upfront capital requirements of a franchise deal. They cannot move at the speed of an opportunity that is open today and closed tomorrow. Jason Fry used his immediate liquidity to buy a struggling Batteries Plus franchise. Then he went to work. Under his management and commitment, that single location became the #1 ranked Batteries Plus franchise in the entire country. Then he bought additional locations. Then he acquired a commercial driving range on top of that. A man staring at bankruptcy turned a one-time lump sum into a growing empire. Funded by capital, the annuity would have drifted to him in small annual portions, while every opportunity slowly passed him by. The annuity crowd would have called Jason Fry reckless in 2007. The #1 ranked franchise in the country answered that accusation once and for all. He was proven right. Every single year, his business revenues exceeded what that annual check would have paid him. Number 4. When the mission is urgent, a drip payment is negligence. Some winners are not trying to build a business. They are trying to save lives. And when the mission is urgent, when children are dying from a disease that needs capital immediately and not in annual installments, the pace of an annuity is not caution. It is negligence measured in human lives. In 2008, Paul and Susan Rosnow had already lived through a grief most people cannot fully imagine. Their infant granddaughter had died from Krabbe disease, a rare and devastating genetic disorder that destroys the nervous system and kills most children before their second birthday. Almost no public awareness, almost no research funding, almost no hope for the families it reaches. Then they won a Powerball jackpot and took the lump sum, $88 million after taxes. Because they had all of that capital immediately in hand, they did not have to wait. They did not have to write one small check this year and another next year, while children continued to die from a disease that needed urgent, large-scale action. They poured $26 million up front into establishing the legacy of Angels Foundation, funding time-sensitive clinical research and trials at the scale and speed that only immediate capital can produce. An annuity would have delivered a fraction of that each year, while the science waited for money that needed to arrive all at once. The Rosnas were not proven right on a financial spreadsheet. They were proven right in the laboratories where research timelines accelerated because the capital arrived when the science needed it most, not dripping in slowly, long after the critical window of impact had already closed. No annuity in the world can compete with that. Number 3. The bus driver who built a distillery. Now meet a man who turned his lump sum into something his entire city could physically see. In 1996, Peter Lavery was driving a bus in Belfast, Northern Ireland, when he won £10.2 million in the national lottery. He took the full lump sum immediately and went to work with a deliberate long-term energy that no annual check could ever have powered or sustained. He bought 33 properties across Belfast over the following years, building a real estate portfolio that appreciated consistently in ways a fixed lottery payment never could. While a flat annuity would have been quietly losing real purchasing power to inflation with every passing year, Lavery's hard assets were doing the opposite. Property that grows in value, fixed payments that shrink in real terms. The math is not complicated, but Lavery's most defining move required capital at a scale no drip payment schedule could ever have produced. He invested £5 million to build Titanic Distillers, the first working whiskey distillery in Belfast in 90 years. Not a rebranding, not a concept. A fully operational distillery built from the ground up in a city that had spent decades watching its industrial identity hollow out. You cannot build a distillery on annual installments. The equipment, the premises, the licensing, the sourcing, the startup operations, all of it requires serious capital committed at once. Peter Lavery turned a bus driver's lottery win into a property portfolio and a working distillery that brought something entirely new back to a city that needed it. 33 properties and one whiskey operation later, he was proven right in a way that no annuity holder could ever have matched. Number 2, nearly $1 billion. Zero institutional risk. In November of 2022, Edwin Castro claimed the largest Powerball jackpot ever drawn in the history of the game. $2.04 billion. The single largest lottery prize in United States history. He took the lump sum cash option of $997.6 million. Nearly $1 billion. Taken immediately. Controlled directly. Placed entirely beyond the reach of every insurance company, every state bureaucracy, every budget crisis, and every institutional failure that a 30-year annuity payment chain would have required to function flawlessly. Think about what that annuity would have meant in real practice. 30 years of payments administered by the California State Lottery. 30 years of insurance contracts with private companies whose solvency in 2052 nobody in 2022 could possibly guarantee. 30 years of exposure to bankruptcies, predatory lawsuits, legislative freezes, estate tax collisions, and relentless inflation eroding payments that never once adjust upward. 30 years of trusting that every institution in that chain honors every promise through everything the world throws at them before the final check arrives. Or you take $997.6 million right now, in your hands, in your trust, under your complete control. No insurance company standing between you and your money. No state bureaucracy processing your annual check. No 30-year payment chain with a dozen points of failure. Edwin Castro removed 30 years of compounded institutional risk from the largest jackpot in American history. Not impulsive. The most rational risk elimination decision available to anyone holding that ticket. And he was proven right the moment those funds cleared into accounts only he controlled. Number 1, he bought 65 square miles and doubled his money. We close with the story that is the single most complete answer to everything the annuity crowd will ever say to you. In 2009, Neil Wanless was a 23-year-old rancher from Bennett County, South Dakota, one of the poorest counties in the entire United States of America. His family had lost their home to the bank. They were living in a camper on land they used to own. His father was selling scrap metal just to cover the property taxes. Everything was crumbling around them. Then, Neil Wanless spent a few dollars on a Powerball ticket and won $232 million. He took the lump sum, a net payout of approximately $88.5 million after taxes. Everyone around him delivered the same speech. The annuity is the responsible choice. 30 years of guaranteed income. You are 23 years old. Do not be impulsive. Let the payments protect you from yourself. Neil Wanless said no, and he immediately did what no annuity payment schedule on earth could have made possible. He bought land, 65 square miles of it, the Bismarck Trail Ranch in South Dakota, for approximately $15 million. He spent his 20s doing the only thing he had ever known how to do: working the land, running the cattle operation, building something real and lasting on ground he actually owned outright. While the annuity he had declined would have been delivering flat annual payments, slowly losing purchasing power to inflation, Wanless was sitting on a hard physical asset following its own trajectory, completely independent of whatever a lottery payment schedule said it should be worth. In late 2022, Neil Wanless sold the Bismarck Trail Ranch for $37 million. He paid $15 million. He sold for $37 million. He more than doubled his real estate investment across 13 years. Think about what that means placed against the annuity alternative. 30 years of fixed payments, eroding in real purchasing power, set beside a single land purchase that doubled in 13 years. The comparison is not even close. A 23-year-old living in a camper in one of the poorest counties in America turned a lump sum into 65 square miles of South Dakota land and sold it for more than double what he paid. That is the entire thesis of this video, standing in a pair of boots on 50,000 acres. Neil Wanless is the final and definitive answer to the annuity speech. Here is the truth. The crowd that insists you just take the annuity will never put in their spreadsheet. When you choose the payments, you are not choosing safety. You are choosing trust. Trusting a private insurance company you have never heard of to remain solvent for 30 consecutive years. Trusting the state to keep paying you through every budget standoff, every political crisis, and every institutional failure between now and your last check. Trusting that no lawsuit, no divorce, no bankruptcy, no tax collision, and no systemic failure will ever turn that payment stream into a trap you cannot escape. That is an enormous amount of faith. And as the 12 winners in this video proved, institutions do not deserve that faith. They have broken that exact promise over and over to real people with real names across decades of lottery history. Louise White refused the estate trap at 81 and protected her family. Gloria McKenzie shielded her heirs from that same disaster at 84. The executive life lump sum winners were completely untouched when the collapse came. The Illinois lump sum winners slept soundly, while Chastain and Rash filed federal lawsuits just to collect money already owed. Shane Missler vanished before the world could find him. The Power Pack built a wall of legal anonymity around $500 million. The Long Island 23 cut every shared rope on day one. Jason Fry turned near bankruptcy into the #1 franchise in the country. The Rosnaz accelerated science that saves children's lives. Peter Lavery built a whiskey distillery in a city that had not had one in 90 years. Edwin Castro removed 3 decades of institutional risk from the largest jackpot in American history. And Neil Wanless bought 50,000 acres of South Dakota land and doubled his money. 12 winners. 12 different proofs. One decision. They took the cash. They took control. They removed every middleman, every insurance contract, every state bureaucracy, and every institutional promise standing between them and their own wealth. Some dodged a collapse that came for everyone around them. Some escaped a tax trap that would have destroyed their families. Some built empires. Some disappeared entirely before the world could find them. Some saved lives. But every single one of them understood the one principle the annuity spreadsheet will never once show you. The only money you truly own is the money already in your hands. If what you just heard made you think twice about what the safe choice actually means, hit subscribe. Because we are going to keep pulling back the curtain on the systems, the traps, and the hidden mechanics they never explain to lottery winners until it is far too late to change anything at all. And drop the word cash in the comments right now if you would take the lump sum and never look back.